Godliness means knowing the purpose for which we were created. Because today, more than anything else, this is what people need desperately to be taught. People are desperate for a purpose, nothing else. People are not desperate for honor, they're not desperate for money, they're not desperate for power. But when they have nothing else, that's what they're going to go after. So the Torah told us a long time ago, we are a light to the nations. Well, what is our light? What's our light? If we don't know, how's anybody else supposed to know? Being a light to the nations means literally, practically, definitively, telling the world what the purpose of our existence is. And here's what seems to be a funny development. You know, there's this guy in India, 27 years old. He is suing his parents for giving birth to him without his consent. You've heard about it, no?
No.
It was in the news not long ago. He took them to court. He wants them to pay all his bills for the rest of his life. And he's not Jewish. What is he thinking? The court threw it out. So it's it hit a dead end. But once you hear it, you got to think about this. Is he not right? Come on. His parents gave birth to him without asking him. So he never agreed. He never signed a contract. He never made an oral agreement. And yet he has to pay bills? Come on, is this right? You put me in a position of need and responsibility that I never agreed to, and now if I don't pay the bills, I'm a failure? You gave birth to me, you pay the bills. Come on, it makes so much sense. This is not just one guy. This is the new thinking and the new experience of life that is going to spread throughout the whole world because it's correct. How can I be responsible for something I never agreed to? And you have to ask the same question of God. God creates me and then gives me responsibilities. I didn't ask to be created. So why is it my responsibility to fix the world? We have to change our language. We cannot say to a child today, you can't say, you have to get up on time. You have to be responsible. You have to put your toys away. You have to do your homework. You have to get a good report card. We can't say that. Because the kid is going to say, I have to? You gave birth to me. You have to. I didn't ask to be born. Don't give me responsibilities. And he's right. Isn't he? No? No. So, what do parents say? For the last 5,775 years, what do parents say? You have to go to school. The kid says, no, I don't. Oh, yes, you do. No, I don't. Yes, you do. I'm going to throw you out of the house. If you don't go, I'm going to take you out of the will. I'm going to spank you. ground you, send you to your room. In other words, you're going to suffer. It worked for 5,700 years. Today it doesn't work. And we wonder, what happened? Where is all the chutzpah coming from? You can't intimidate people anymore. I'll send you to your room. Happens to have a pretty nice room. I'll spank you. I'll report you. You can't threaten anymore. You can't. Mrs. Reagan told all the teenagers of America to not mess with drugs because it'll kill you. Drugs are dangerous. And the teenagers are still waiting for the punchline. What are you saying? So what? So you can die from it? Yeah. People are not responding to a threat. And it makes so much sense that now I can't even believe that for 5,000 years farmers got up early to milk the cow and plow the field. Why? Why did they do that? Because they had to. They had to? Why did the farmer have to plow the field? Because if he didn't plow the field in time, he wouldn't have a crop, he wouldn't have food, and he'll go hungry, and he'll die. Now, it's become completely ridiculous. The kid has to get up for kindergarten and catch the bus. Why? Well, if you don't go to school, if you don't get a degree, if you don't get into a good college, if you don't get a good job, if you don't make a good living, if you don't get a good paycheck, if you can't afford to buy a house, pay the mortgage and the taxes, you're going to be homeless, you're going to be hungry, you're going to die. So what are you saying to a kindergarten kid? Get up and put your shoes on. You want to die? I have to go to kindergarten because otherwise I'll die? So here's what's happening. This is scary, but also marvelous. We no longer accept the premise that you have to live a responsible, productive life in order to not die. The computer says, does not compute.
They say differently, in order to make it. And not to die.
I should live so that I don't die. No, sorry. Not a good deal. I didn't ask for this, I don't need this. And if you resort to a threat, when the kid says, I don't have to go to school, the parent says, yes, you have to go to school. How is this conversation going to end? With a threat. You know why? Because the parent is not right. And when you're not right, you have to resort to a threat. So God says, you have to keep these commandments. You have to be moral, you have to be kosher, you have to be Shabbosdik, and you have to be... Oh, you don't want to? You're going to go to hell. Threats? That's it? You're reduced down to a threat? Only when you have no argument, you resort to threats. Well, today's children are not buying it. From the youngest age. I didn't ask to be born. I don't need to be born. Don't tell me that I'm responsible. I must, I need, I have to. That language is antiquated. You can't use that anymore. So what's left? What's left is really beautiful. If I didn't ask to be born and I don't need to be born, then I am a product of someone else's need. Being here is not my need. Well, then whose need is it? And there's only one answer. The Creator. When this guy sued his parents in court, they said, "You didn't ask to be born? Neither did I." So the father said, I didn't ask to be born either. So, who's guilty here? Grandma. You ask Grandma, she says, I didn't ask to be born. Obviously, you got to take it back to the Creator who started it all. You are here because you are necessary to Him, not to yourself. Do you see how morality, godliness, and truth is dawning on people? We have been so distracted by our needs. I have to. And I have to became so important that we ignored God. Like God said, fast on Yom Kippur. You said, no, I have to eat. I have to. God says, don't work on Shabbos. No, I have to. I have to work on Shabbos. I have to. So what was the lie? The lie is that you never had to. What convinced you that you have to? They go, well, you're going to die. It's not working anymore. Don't tell me I have to not die. That's not a good argument. And kids today are saying it. This is not a philosophy anymore. Young children, 11, 10 years old, and they're saying, I didn't ask to be born. Why'd you have me? And they're not depressed. They're precocious. So if your child ever says to you, I didn't ask to be born, don't put him on medication. If he says, I didn't ask to be born, you should say, neither did I. So let's figure this out. You didn't ask to be born, I didn't ask to be born. What are we doing here? This is a very good question. Not depression. What's the answer? The answer is, we didn't do it. The Creator did it. Now, if you're the Creator, which means you've always existed, you are infinite, you're eternal, you're all-powerful, all-knowing, and almighty, would you create a world? For nothing? If the Creator bothers to create a universe, He seems to need something. So instead of thinking we're the needy ones, and He's the ATM, and if you're nice to Him, He'll give you a lot of goodies, which is what religion has been preaching, the truth is the exact opposite. If you were created, you need nothing. You didn't even need to be created. But whoever created you has got something that He wants to accomplish. So you are necessary to Him. When you say, I need, that's blasphemous. No, it's not you. It's Him. Psychologically, this is such a relief. We are so overburdened with obligation, responsibility, demands, needs. It's crushing us. Can't stand it anymore. I have to this and I have to that. Leave me alone. I didn't ask for this. He's so right. I don't know why it took us 5,000 years to figure this out. Particularly since our first father, Avraham, had it all figured out back then. God calls Avraham, and Avraham says, Hineni. Hineni means, I'm available. I got nothing to do here. What, you need something? Oh, good, because I don't need anything. So please, give me a job. Give me a mission. Give me a purpose. God says, yes, I do have a purpose. I created you with a purpose. That's what the world today needs to know, and that's where we become the light to the nations, because we know what the purpose is. The world's religions say the purpose is to get to heaven. And we say the purpose is to bring heaven down to earth. Don't go to heaven. The worst thing you can say to somebody, if you really hate somebody, you can say one of two things. You can tell them where to go, right? If you say go to heaven, it's just as bad as the alternative. Because the action is here. God needs us here. He doesn't need us in heaven. But if you can't be here, all right, you go to heaven. Here's the final. I'm in Minnesota, and I'm introduced to this pastor, a popular big church, and he is the pastor of the church. Very innocently, with no antagonism at all, as we're introduced, his first words are, "So do you believe in the Savior?" Let's get right to the point. I said, look, I'm not looking for God to serve me. I'm looking for how I can serve God. The man started to cry. He said, I never thought of that. The whole religion is telling you how you can manipulate God to do for you. He does for you. He takes care of you. He blesses you. He protects you. He saves you. He takes you. He gives you. He dies for you. Not interested. We are here to serve, not be served. Because it's so absurd. God creates you with needs. And if you're nice, He'll help you with the needs that He saddled you with. And if you're not nice to Him, He'll saddle you with more needs. I wouldn't play this game. I'm not interested. If that's what religion is, I want out. Doesn't make any sense. If God needs me, Hineni. If He doesn't need me, leave me alone. Oh, you're going to die. Okay, stop with the threats. It's not working anymore. The man started to cry. Because it's so obvious. How do you miss this? You want God to serve you? As if you have real needs? And you don't, because you didn't ask to be born. This doesn't make any sense at all. But to be needed by the Creator, that is such a blessing. Because on the one hand, it takes all the burden off me. What, you're going to be a loser? You're going to be a failure? You're going to be a... Don't threaten me. If I don't do anything ever, I'm not a loser. I didn't ask for this. I don't need this. I don't care. Oh, you're a loser. Fine. It's not working. But if the burden is off of me, I am liberated. God took us out of Egypt not just so that we don't have to build pyramids. When he took us out of Egypt, he was actually telling us, you have no needs. I need you. He came to Egypt to take us. He said, come with me, I need you. Which means two things. You are not needy, but you are needed. If we can share this with the world, would they still be jealous? Or would they be grateful? Look at people committing suicide for no apparent reason. It's because we're on the verge of Mashiach, and certainly once Mashiach comes, you're not going to be able to threaten anybody. What are you going to say after Mashiach comes? You're going to burn in hell? No, hell is finished. No more hell. You want to die? No, people don't die. What are we going to do? How are we going to discipline a kid? How are we going to run a classroom? There's no threat. We got to start changing our methods. Catch up to the times. Something's happening here. So, when a kid says, I didn't ask to be born, your answer is, well, then God must really need you. So somebody said in the name of the Rebbe, I'm not sure that it was the Rebbe, but it's a nice thought anyway. Your birthday is the day that God decided the world is not good enough without you. Cute? It's cute. But you know what it implies? So the day you die, it's God decided we'll be better off without you. So it doesn't really work, you know what I mean? It's like a half-truth. But the idea is correct. Being born means someone needs you. Because you didn't ask. Not your need. And this is really the most liberating, enlightening, godly reality. It's not religion. And it's not a belief. It's the only explanation there is for reality. Why are you here? There's only one answer. Somebody needs you. So what should you do about that? Well, find out who needs you and for what. How are you going to find that out? In the Torah. That's what the Torah is all about. God came down to Mount Sinai and said, I know you're wondering why I created you. Let me tell you. Take 40 years, I'll explain it to you. So let's wander around the desert for 40 years. We'll learn, we'll talk, we'll fabrain. You'll get it. And once you get it, go out of the desert into the world and share it. Become a light to the nations. And we were ready, willing to do this, and the nations decided they don't want to hear. So if we tried to say something, they shot us. So we learned not to say anything. But those days are over.